Shalom, shalom, giving honor and praise to the Creator, the Maker of heaven and earth. My name is Yeshaya Yisrael of the tribe of Dan of the nation of Israel. On a human level, giving respect, Chief Prince Paul, his son, Prince Nathaniel, a friend of mine, and as well as an elder of mine, Chief Nathaniel. Giving due respect to the elders, fathers, mothers, young men, young women of the house of Yisrael. This is the Hebrew class redone. When I say redone, essentially, for those who may know, we had Hebrew classes that were from March of 2016 all the way to May of 2017. So we started with the alphabet, we started with the vowels. This is still all online. You understand? And it went from there to basically getting from there to nouns, from nouns to verbs, from verbs to sentence structure, to putting nouns in together with sentence structure, to pronouns connected to verbs and so forth. All of that stuff is still online. The point, however, in this particular thesis, where we're going to be going over redoing the classes, not in place of, but just redoing, is to tackle certain things that will be more pertinent to the people. Hebrew class to know the Alef, Bet, and Vowels. All right? This is not going to be a very long class, but it's going to be a necessary class. All right? I want to give also due respect to the people who supported the Hebrew classes from before, giving a shout out to my brother, Chief Yashar, giving a shout out to my brother, Nezekiah, the son of Chief Captain Hebron, as well as my brother and friend, Adon Josiah, the son of Chief Nathaniel, who was assistant in the older Hebrew classes. For those who are interested, you can still log on to see what it was. All right? What we're going to go over, as stated, is the alphabet. All right? I have a copy of it right here for those who will be able to see it. All right? This is what we're going to be going over. All right? As well as the vowels. Now, there are about 9 or 10 vowels in Hebrew, but today we're only going to be going over 5 of them for edification purposes. Okay? So I want that to be noted for reasoning purposes. One thing to know and understand is that Hebrew is read from right to left. All right? If somebody is writing Hebrew top to bottom, they're just trying to be special. That's his or her own particular way. However, correct Hebrew is read from right to left, not left to right. This is why when you see Hebrew books, such as the Torah books and so forth, you see them opening up a certain way that looks different than the average English reader, or to the English reader. All right, so we want that to be pointed out for reasoning purposes. Okay, now, one of the things we want to set the record for as far as it goes with the aspect of modern Hebrew and ancient Hebrew. Ancient Hebrew, let's say from the time of Moses, is different than the ancient Hebrew than, let's say, that was spoken by Solomon, because the vocabulary had changed. So because the vocabulary changed, your language changed. All right? Let's say in understanding the vocabulary that Solomon spoke is different than the vocabulary that Jeremiah spoke. Let me give you an example. When it says in Deuteronomy that you shall rejoice before the Lord your God, the Hebrew word for rejoice in that particular regard, when you look in there, is the word samak. Now, when you read I was joyous always before him, playing in this habitable earth in Proverbs chapter 8, written by Solomon, that particular portion right there, when you read the word joyous or so forth, is the word sha'ashua. So it doesn't even use the same vocabulary. The vocabulary is different. Isaiah the prophet, in his vocabulary, is different than the vocabulary Solomon had. Solomon, when you read in Ecclesiastes, Solomon, when you read in Proverbs, was the son of the king of Israel, and he became the king of Israel. So he would have been more adapt to not trying to be insulting to anyone, a higher form of learning. Just as much as somebody were to say it is serious, a higher vocabulary word for the same thing is it is important. If somebody were to say this person is a clown, a higher form of it is the word jester. All right. If somebody were to say that someone is ignorant, a higher form of that word is benighted. So vocabulary changes as time goes on. So I'm pointing that out for edification purposes because the argument given about ancient Hebrew and modern Hebrew, only thing modern Hebrew actually is taking ancient Hebrew and with the rules of it, showing it in modern form. This will be pointed out more next week. But I just want to use that as an example. When you read in Genesis in the Bible, chapter 8, it says there will always be cold and heat. The Hebrew word for cold there is the word qual, kuf and resh, from the root word quarar, which means to be cool, C-O-O-L. In Hebrew, it said as quarar. Now, when you have a verb such as that, to make a verb into a noun, you simply, brothers and sisters, put and add the prefix of the letter mem. So now mikwarer means refrigerator or a thing of coolness, which is what a refrigerator is. So that's how you can get the aspect of what is understood as Hebrew in modern times. So we just want that to be pointed for edification purposes. As stated, these rules will be explained more in the next lesson. The focus in this one, with the time allotted, to go over the alphabet and the vowels. Now let's understand something. Once a brother or sister understands the alphabet and the sounds that the letters make, and the vowels, one automatically by default knows how to read. You know how to read already by knowing the sound that the letters make and the vowels that are along with it. You may not understand what you're reading, but you do know how to read at that point. Most children speak before they read. However, most of us are being taught this either high school age or older. So we have to learn how to read then first, then speak in that particular case. All right, so we just want that to be pointed out. Now, let's go over this sheet right here. All right. This letter that you see right here where the pen is pointed to is the letter Aleph. All right. This is the letter Aleph. The letter Aleph of its own volition does not make any sound. It's a mute letter. All right. The meaning of Aleph can either be a clan, thousand, or to teach. Depends on what one wants to convey in meaning. All right. So this is what this one is here. And the numerical value of it is 1. Now, some people have stated that Aleph means ox. Now, when you go in some parts in the Jeremiah, you do read the word aluf, translated as ox or oxen. All right, so that can be gleaned from the Hebraic aspect. But however, the most commonly used word for ox is shor, shin wal resh. All right, so we want that to be noted for reason and purposes. But this right here is the letter Aleph. All right, now what we're looking at here is the letter Bet. Bet means house or house of. All right, the numerical value of such is 2, as in the number 2, as we said, numerical value. Bet makes what we understand as the B sound. This is where you get the word beba pasha. This is where you get the word bayit. This isn't used in the word abib. All right, so this particular letter here that we see, the letter Bet, makes the B sound. Now, some people state that when you don't have the dot within it, it makes the V sound. I'm not here to argue that particular aspect. However, you would only see what is referred to as the vet inside of the word. You won't see vet really in the beginning of the word. All right, so we want that to be pointed out for edification purposes. All right, vet is only used in the aspect when those who can't say words like abiba, abib, Yashuba, and so forth, their pronunciation may change to a V sound. So that's what that particular aspect is there. This letter we see right here, brothers and sisters, is the letter Gimel. All right, Gimel, starting with the G, as we see Gimel, all right, makes the G sound, as in the English word go. All right, now in Hebrew, when you see the word Gog, all right, it means roof, or Magog, as you see in the book of Ezekiel, means multitude. All right, but the word Gog means roof. Now, Gemel or Gamel, or all right, means camel. All right, so I just wanted to point that out for reason and purposes. All right, this makes the G sound. It's not a commonly used letter, but it does hold its significance. All right, next we see here is the fourth letter making the D sound as the letter Dalet. Now, the letter Dalet is where you get words like Delat, which means door, Don, which means judge. All right, what we're looking at, brothers and sisters, for those who are following, is this portion right here. The word Dalet itself means door. All right, the numerical value of such is the number 4. All right, so we just want to point that out for a reason and purposes. All right, now, next we got here is what I would like to call the thumb of the Hebrew alphabet. That's my personal calling of this, but it doesn't mean thumb. All right, the word for thumb is bohen. But anyway, this is right here the letter hey, making the H sound in English aspect, as in the word ha, which means the. All right, or you might see in the scriptures where it says, and the people say aha, aha. This particular aspect is when you see this letter here. All right, so I just wanted to point that out for reason and purposes. You see hey being used of the 7 verb stems, you see it used in about 4 or 5 of them for explanation purposes. This is why I state that hey is what we can call the thumb of the Hebrew alphabet. Sometimes it drops out when you putting a noun to personify it. Kippah, as you see, means hat. Kippati, my hat. But that's a whole nother subject. But I just want to show the importance and significance of the letter hey. All right. Now, hey is the 5th letter, and it means window or behold. Okay. Now, it is the, as stated, the 5th letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and it's the one of the 2 feminine letters in Hebrew. All right. So we want to point this out for reason and purposes. All right. Next we have here is the 6th letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Wow. Okay. Wow makes the W sound, as in the word wow itself, which means hook. Now, many brothers and sisters say that wow doesn't make its own sound. But it does, because when you go in Exodus 28 and other parts, when it speaks about the hooks of the tabernacle, it uses the word waweh, waweh hamishkan. All right, so wow meaning hook. This makes the W sound. It's used as a vowel holder, as we'll explain, but it's not only used for such, because it does have its own purpose in the alphabet itself, as the what we understand in English as a W letter. All right, the word walad in Hebrew means child. All right, so we want to point that out for reason and purposes. Okay, so this letter right here, all right, is the letter Zion. Now, Zion itself is not to be confused with Mount Zion. I'll explain why that is as the alphabet goes on. But this is the 7th letter, and this meaning Zion here is the word for weapon. All right, it makes the Z sound, as in the word Zadon, which means arrogant, as in the word used in there as haziz, which means to move, or as in within the word mazon, which means food. Okay, so this letter right here does hold not a big significance, but its own particular significance. Hey shows more of a significance, but we're going to continue on with the alphabet. So we just want that to be noted for a reason and purposes. All right, the letter Zion. Next we see here is the letter Chet. All right. Now this makes, I want to state, as many people state the CH, but I want to state it as a KH. Because when you see CH in English, you may think cheese, you may think cheddar. But this sound here doesn't have the ch sound. It had the k sound. Some refer to it as a guttural. This being the eighth letter of the Hebrew alphabet, having this number significance or the numerical value of 8. All right, so het means fence. You see this in words like ruach, which means spirit or wind. You see this letter within the word tapuach, which means apple. You may see that in the word mafteach, which means key. You may see it as the most commonly understood word as ak, which means what? Okay, brother. So we just want that to be noted for reasoning purposes. Okay, now going over this one more time, review from the top line. Follow class, and if you listen to this online, pause it, test yourself. Alef Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Wow, Zion, Het. Alef Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Wow, Zion, Het. You may want to, if you're listening to this, pause it, rewind it, say it along with me so it can be seen as I go from letter to letter and the pronunciation of each letter. As we may have noticed, whatever the letter starts with is the sound it makes. Okay, so Bet makes the B sound, Gamel the G sound, Dalet the D sound, Hey the H sound, Wow the W sound, Zion the Z sound, Het the K sound as a KH. All right, just want that to be noted for reasoning purposes. Okay, so we're going to take a little intermission. Excuse me. Okay, got some mayim there. Now, excuse me, let's move on. Next, we see here, all right, where the pin is at, is the letter tet, making a T sound, the numerical value being 9. You see this letter here in a most commonly used word as tob. Tob meaning good, all right? So we want that to be noted for reasoning purposes, all right? This letter right here, tet, means snake in its own definition, all right? So let's go on. This letter here, I refer to as the index of the Hebrew alphabet. I call this personally the thumb of the alphabet in Hebrew, the letter Hey, and I refer to this one right here as the index finger. This is the letter Yod. The numerical value is 10. The meaning of it is the word hand. All right? You see that in the holy name of the Most High, Yah. You see that in the word Yisrael. All right? The letter Yod is very, very important. All right? So we just want that to be noted for edification purposes. All right? Yod, making a Y sound. Okay? Next we see here, brothers and sisters, is the letter Kaf. All right? Kaf has a dual meaning. One is spoon, the other is palm, like the palm of your hand, P-A-L-M. All right? That's what this letter is right here, Kaf. All right? So we want that to be noted for edification purposes. All right? The numerical value of this is 20. So let's understand. You got from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. As far as numerical values are concerned. Then it goes 20. I'll explain how that works as we go along in the next lesson when I show how when verses are mentioned in Hebrew, how that goes down in that particular regard. We have the letter Kaf here. All right, so we can gain an understanding of what we're dealing with and what we're talking about. All right, making a K sound. Now, you see this commonly in the word cod, which means pitcher, like the pitcher you drink from. All right, so just want that to be noted for edification purposes. When we speak of Yom Kippur, this is the word Kippur, starts with this letter right here. All right, comes from the Hebrew root word kippur, which means to atone. But we'll explain that in tomorrow's lesson a little bit more in depth. Now, okay. Next we see here is the letter Lamed. Lamed meaning to teach or to instruct. All right? So we want that to be noted for edification purposes. The letter Lamed making what? The L sound. All right? The numerical value of this one is 30. Okay, so we want that to be pointed for edification purposes. All right, lamed, making the L sound. I personally call this one right here part of the middle finger in the Hebrew alphabet. Not the whole middle finger, just part of it, and I'll explain as I go along. All right, lamed. This is used in many cases in a prefix meaning the word to or for. For instance, for me in Hebrew is li. All right, for you in Hebrew is lakah. So when we read in Genesis about go for yourself with Abraham, lek lakah. Lakah means for you. All right, so we want that to be noted for edification purposes. The letter here, lamed, making the L sound. All right, let's move on. As stated, the numerical value of that is 30. Here we see the letter mem. Mem makes the M sound. A most commonly used word for that one in Hebrew is what you see here. Mayim. Mayim meaning water. Mem meaning water. All right. As stated, the numerical value of that is the number 40. All right. So we want that to be noted for edification purposes. Okay. I personally refer to that as the remaining part of the middle finger in the Hebrew alphabet. So part of it is the lamed and part of it is the mem. Mem is also used as a prefix. Okay. When you're dealing in the aspect of the word meaning of or from, memeni, from me, of me. All right, so we want that to be noted. So that's something to point out in that regard. Next we have, which is my personal favorite letter in Hebrew. Don't ask me why, but since I was a little kid, at the age of 7, when I remember seeing this, told out to the Most High 30 years ago. I'm 37 now, told out Yah for me living to see this age. When looking at the letter noon right here, making the N sound. All right, noon itself means fish. All right, some people say the word noon also means to increase when you go to Psalm 72. All right, but that's another subject. We'll get into another aspect. But just want to point this out right here. Numerical value of this letter right here is 50. All right, the letter noon. You see noon used in a prefix in verbs. All right, and sometimes used as part of the suffix. Asa in Hebrew means to do. Na'aseh, na'aseh, starting with the noon means we will do. All right. So I just want to point that out for reason and purposes. Ta'asena means you all will do when speaking to nothing but females. Ta'asena, ending in part with the noon, but fully ending with the hey. That's why I said that this is used as a prefix in verbs and sometimes as part of the suffix. We're going to get into all of that. All right. It's like, oh, you're going over the head. No, I'm just showing the importance of these letters. All right. And how it works in that particular aspect. Next, we have the letter Samek. All right. Now, I personally don't give, not trying to be funny, a thumbs up or a thumbs down or how important this letter is, but it does hold its own weight. The word Samek has a definition of one of the ways to say support. All right. Now, we want to pay close attention to this letter here because when you look at it upon its right side, it has a curvature. Remember that curvature as we go along, please. Remember that that's being stated. All right. Remember that particular aspect of the curvature. Now, a common word used with the letter Samek is the word seneh, which means bush. All right. Sal, which means basket. All right. So we just want to point that out for reason and purposes. All right. Next we have here, all right, brothers and sisters, is the letter ayin. Now, controversy to a certain extent, because I've been taught, and I partially do teach, that this letter ayin is a mute letter. But some have pointed out that ayin has its own guttural sound, like a sapa sound. As in when you read in the English translation as Sodom and Gomorrah, when you see Gomorrah is Ahmorrah. But knowing, understanding that this is a guttural, we may want to sit there and try to see how this is actually pronounced. But most scholars will just then sit there and say, well, you know what? That particular thing is just a mute letter for pronunciation easiness. All right. But the letter ayin means eye, like the eye that you see with. Okay. So we want to point that out. I'm sorry. 40 numerical value, 50 numerical value, 60 numerical value, I meant to say, and 70 numerical value. Ayin. All right. It means, as stated, the eye, like the kind of eye that you see with. All right. So we want to point that out for reason and purposes. All right. Next, we have here is the letter pay. Now, many have stated pay, all right, the numerical value of that particular thing right there being 80, means mouth. Now, some people state when it has a dot in it, it makes the P sound. When it doesn't have a dot, it makes the F sound. But the meaning of it, regardless, is still the same. A commonly used word for that is perak, ending in a ket but beginning with a pay. The word perak means flower. All right, so we want to point that out. Another commonly used word starting with this letter right here is the word patak. All right, patak means what? To open. Patak katora, a song they used to sing in a camp I came to. All right, so we just want that to be noted for reason and purposes. Next we have right here, all right, is the letter Zadeh. All right. Zadeh, okay, making the numerical value of what? 90. Zadeh is said to mean the word fish hook. All right. Whereas the word wow means hook. Now, remember earlier when I said that this is Zion, but not to be confused with Mount Zion? Mount Zion or Horror, which means mountain or mount, and Zion, Zion starts with this right here. All right, with this letter. It makes like a TZ or a TS sound. Zion. Okay, we just want to point that out for reason and purposes. Okay, this letter right here, Zion, starts with this. This right here is part of what I personally call the pinky of the Hebrew alphabet. And when we get into the Hipa'el stem, like with the word Zadak, you will understand why I say that. All right, so we just want that to be noted for reason and purposes. Now, this letter right here has a numerical value of 100. All right, and Kuf means monkey, M-O-N-K-E-Y, the animal, or it means the back of one's head. Kuf said to make the QU sound or the KW sound. QU as in the word queen. All right. Many people attempt to state that Kuf makes the K sound, but in actuality, even when you look at the ancient Hebrew writing of that letter, it looks like the English capital Q. Now, I want to explain the alphabet, how it got to this particular style of writing as we go along in this particular lesson. Okay, so want that to be noted for reason and purposes. Kuf, in this particular case. Resh, meaning head or leader. All right. The numerical value of such is the number 200. All right. Now, Resh making the R sound, as we said earlier in the word Hor, which means mountain. All right. Rishon, like Yom Rishon. Rishon meaning first. Okay. Next we have here is the letter Shin. As in the numerical value, pardon me, is 300. Shin, what we see right here, means tooth, T-O-O-T-H. All right? Now, you see this as the most commonly used word, shalom. as in the word Yerushalem. Now, I want to explain something. Many times in Hebrew, you will see when they say with this letter right here, it has a dagis or a dot upon the right side of it, making the sha sound, and a dagis on the left side, making the tha sound. But what we have to understand is that sin, which is the dagis with this letter right here on this side, in most Hebrew scholastic understandings, is a variant of sheen. So it's not really holding a different numerical value or a different meaning. All right. Now, most times when you see seen letters, that is to say this letter right here with the dot on this side, over 60% of it can be said with the Samek letter, also making the S sound. All right. Not all of it, but much of it. So we want that to be pointed out for reason and purposes. All right. So looking at this one still right here, sheen making the SH sound means tooth. All right, so we just want to point that out. Numerical value as stated is 300. Next, we have here the letter tau. All right, the letter tau means sign, S-I-G-N. Not to say like when it says the Shabbat is a sign, that is the word oat. However, the word tau said by many as thou with a TH. Many scholars are saying that this is the actual T sound, as in the word tob, whereas this is the actual TH. This is why you have some translations saying Shiboleth, Bethlehem. All right. So just want to point that out for reason and purposes. So many times they will say instead of ata, asa, meaning you or you are masculine. All right. As a Hebrew teacher, I personally do not shun that particular teaching and understanding. Now, this has the numerical value of 400. So let's understand what's going on. There's 22 Hebrew letters in the Hebrew alphabet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. There's 22 Hebrew letters in the Hebrew alphabet. You see this same thing in Psalms 119. All right. So this has what? No sound or mute, B sound, G sound, D sound, H sound, W sound, Z sound, KH sound, T sound, Y sound, K sound, L sound, M sound, N sound, S sound, guttural, iron, or said by some as mute, P sound, TZ sound, Q sound, R sound, SH sound, T or TH by many scholars as T or th sound. So we just want to point that out for reason and purposes. All right, now I want to explain the rest of this sheet. When it says extended forms of Aleph, Hey, Lamed, this mem, I'm going to explain what this is in a second, and Tau. When you read in the Torah scroll or the Torah writings or anything of that sort, when you see a letter this extended out, this being Aleph here, this also being Aleph. But when you see it as extended, is only to serve for the space on the paper. There's nothing deep or hidden or no secret behind it. It's only like that because had they not had an extended version of it, the line would have been broken up. And in Hebrew, you don't put like in English, let's say I am dash PORTANT as important, or important and dash LY importantly. No, you don't do that in Hebrew. So what they have done is you have it extended because you don't put a dash and then continue on the next line in Hebrew when it's the same word. All right. So you have it extended to make up for the space on the page. And these are the letters that do such. All right. So you will see certainly this one right here. You will see this in this particular aspect. Not so much the others, but you do see it of the extended letters that you see in Torah writings. This Lamed is the most used one. All right, so we want to point that out for reason and purposes. Now let's look, okay, at this here. Kaf Sofit, Mem Sofit, Nun Sofit, Fe Sofit, Zade Sofit. Now this says what? Final forms of. The final Kaf, final Mem, final Nun, final Pe, final Zade. These letters that you see here all only go at the end of a word. I want to state again. These letters you see here go only at the end of a word. That's why it's called the final form of. So if a word ends, let's say, as in the word king, which is the word melek, you don't end it with this kaf here. You end it with this kaf here. The word baruch, which ends in a kaf sound, you don't end it in writing with this one. You end it with this one right here. Okay. Mayin starts with this letter mem right here, but ends with this mem, final mem right here. This mem here and this mem here is the exact same letter. All right? That's stated. This is just the extended form that's for the space on the paper. All right? When you read in the Torah scrolls or so. All right? So this is mem, final mem. These letters here hold no real numerical value of their own. Why do I state that? Is because when you look at the particular aspect, these sofits were not in ancient Hebrew. There's no ancient Hebrew way to write ka sofit, mem sofit, nun sofit, fe sofit, zade sofit. This only works with the final form of and what they call the modern form of Hebrew. Now, I already explained earlier how you get modern Hebrew aspect. You can go back to the beginning if you missed that particular part when this is uploaded. All right. So now you got nun sofit. All right. As in nun itself, meaning fish. It would not end in writing with this nun, but with this nun. All right. Fe sofit. All right. As in the word Yosef will not end with this pay or fe. It would end with this pay or fe, as we see here. All right. Next, we have Zadeh, as in the word used eretz, meaning earth. You will not see it with this one right here, as in eretz ending, but with this one. Okay. So you have ka sofit, mem sofit, nun sofit, fe sofit, zadeh sofit. So I just want that to be seen and shown for edification purposes. Remember, Hebrew is always read from right to left. This form and style of writing, this script form here, or this actual penmanship of Hebrew, if you will, is, I want to state, Aramaic writing. Those who are scholarly in this understand where I'm coming from. This is the Hebrew writing, but it was adopted by the house of Israel in alphabet form, as we see here, during the time more so with Ezra and Nehemiah. This is why by the time you get to the Dead Sea Scrolls, you see this form of writing here in this particular aspect. All right? Writing changed, or the style of writing changed as time went on. Aramaic, by the time Babylon came and was crushed, was what you call the lingua franca. That is to say, the populous language of a particular region. Like in Ghana, if I understand to be corrected, English is the lingua franca. It's not Twi. It's not Fanti in Ghana. It's actually English. Well, by the time the children of Israel came back out of Babylon, the lingua franca was Aramaic. Now, Aramaic is related to Hebrew because the mothers of the house of Israel were Aramean women. So they spoke Aramaic. Of the 12 tribes of Israel, Simeon said and understood as Hebrew as Shimon is an Aramaic word. Shama means to hear. Shema means to hear. Ending with the ayin as we see here. All right? The word to hear in Hebrew is similar to the word that they did in a portion before ha'azim. So we want to get into Hebrew understanding for edification purposes. If there's any questions, feel free to call or text 908-587-4841. Okay? So we're going to go over this one more time. You can pause it on your own time at any time after it's uploaded or so, and then review it yourself. Alef Bet Gimel Dalet. Hey Wow Zion. Chet Tet Yod. Kaf Lamet Mem. Nun Samek Ayin. Pei Zadek Kuf. Resh Shin Tal. Now remember earlier when I was saying the numerical values from Aleph to Yod is 1 through 10. From Kaf, starting at 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and then 100, 200, 300, 400. If you have a Nun and an Aleph, numerical value will be 51. If you have a Wow, numerical value is 6. A Nun and a Zion, numerical value will be 57. That's the point that I wanted to point out with that. When we get into lesson number 3, we'll go over the numbers like Echad, Shanaim, Shalosha, Arba'a, and so forth. But I just wanted to point that out as far as the alphabet is concerned and how it works in that particular case. Now, I want to show for edification purposes. All right, got a book right here in regards to the Hebrew alphabet. Want to show something, if I can, with this. Let me dig this up, get this up here. Sorry about that. Should have had the page on such already, but just want to show something. Okay. The name of this book is called The Ancient Near East in Text and Pictures. You get this online, by the way. What we are looking at, all right, in this particular aspect is the actual breakdowns of how Hebrew writing changed over the course of centuries. You see where it says, for instance, the Lachish, Ashtoka. Lachish was in the land of Judah. You read about that in Jeremiah 34. The Lachish letters, all right, speak about how the tribe of Judah feared, if you may say, the house of Esau trying to take their land. But I just want to show this for reference purposes about how Hebrew alphabet writing itself changed over the course of time. All right? What we're looking at in here, Lishma, Ebed Yarab Am. This is a seal about to Shema, a person, the servant of Jeroboam. Jeroboam was a king in ancient Israel. That was a seal that was done. Whether Jeroboam the first or Jeroboam the second, who knows, perhaps at this point. But we just wanted to show this particular aspect, all right, for reason and purpose. Lishma Ebed Yarab Am. That's ancient Hebrew writing. But as we kept on pointing out, the form of Hebrew writing changed over the course of centuries. So it wasn't a Jewish invention. This, brothers and sisters, is not Yiddish. All right? This is not Yiddish. Even what is called modern Hebrew is not Yiddish. So we want to point that out for reason and purposes. This right here is part of the Lachish letters. Find this in archaeology. Ancient Hebrew writing that predates the time of Herod. Those in the debate world know why I said that. But I just wanted to go over that particular thing right there. I have here Babylon to Timbuktu, a book I bought. As you see, still in the wrapping. But I want to show something that the beloved elder Root of Windsor had pointed out concerning the Hebrew in this particular aspect. All right. Look, if you will, if you happen to have this or so. All right. I skipped the page. My fault. This here. This is in this book right here, Babylon and Timbuktu. Actually, it's really said as from Babylon and Timbuktu. We just been so used to saying Babylon and Timbuktu. But anyway, in here, you see the Alef Bet, Gemel, and Dalet in the ancient form. All right. Then some refer to it as stated here, the square form, the script form. Then you get what? Oh, somebody who they refer to as Rashi. That's a whole nother aspect right there. You don't really even see that kind of aspect in most books. But I just wanted to point that out. All right. Then you got the Latin and then the Greek and the Latin and so forth here. But just wanted to show in that particular aspect what this is in this particular regard. All right. Hebrew, and you can look this up in this book itself. All right. You can also get that book online. The Hebrew that we're speaking today, that we see in a dictionary such as the Ben Yehuda dictionary and so forth, as you see here, this is not Yiddish. All right. Want to keep on pointing that out for reason and purposes. I explained earlier how you can make and get a noun from a verb in Hebrew, and it's done quite often. We're going to give more examples as time goes on, but I just want to show why we say what we say and so forth. All right. Now, let's get to the conclusion of this. There are, as stated, what we know as 9 or 10 Hebrew vowels, but we're only going to be dealing with 5, okay, for today. Next week, there will be a review, a drill session, if you will, and then we'll move on. If I got to go over this lesson 1 again and again, wa'od pa'am, wa'akre kain, im anizarik la asot eha sha'ur hazeh od pa'am, and then do egg, ese oto. So my point is, if I have to go over this lesson again and again, I could care not, is what it is. We keep on doing what we're doing until the people get it. This is what we do, representing out of the camp Shema Yisrael. Understand? We want to do a service. And when it's interesting, when the elder principal and I spoke about the Hebrew classes, is we're doing a service to the Most High's people. So that's why we should try to sit there and be on it as much as we can. Of course, things happen, maybe a cancellation, but to sit there and just give up, that's low toll. Or, as Leviticus says, tebel. Okay, so tebel meaning bad. Essentially, we have the letter Aleph used throughout this as a whole entire example. Now, these vowels you see here, this is called, and we're going to go over this again, the actual patak, quamats, patak, quatan. All of these, as you see here, make the ah sound. This makes a shorter one, but it still makes that sound nonetheless. All of these go under the letter, be it the letter Alef, Bet, Gemel, Dalet, or so forth. All right, so we want to point that out for reasoning purposes. Okay? Ah, as in the word Abba. All right? Be it as stated with the Patak, Quamat, or the Patak, Quatan. Okay. This one we see right here, I actually downloaded this from the internet. On Google Images when you type in Hebrew vowels. Sound, as in the word pen. All right. Just want to point this out for reason and purposes. Okay, this is called a segol. Now, I'm going to skip the next one for a reason and get back to it. This right here is said by many as a segol shwa, or a segol quatan, meaning it doesn't make the strong air sound, but a shorter air sound. So if you're saying, let's say in English, pen or pin, you're still saying pen. All right. But it just want to show the different examples of how it works in that regard. What you're looking at here is just the aleph with this letter here being the yod. So whether the yod is with it or not, it's still making the eh sound. This one right here, this one right here, and this one right here. Now, I'm going to circle something in the red for edification purposes and then show it again and explain what I'm doing or explain what I'm talking about. All right. Here we're looking at this vowel here. Well, this one here is the segol. This one right here is said as a zere. This more so doesn't per se make the e sound, but more so the a sound. So let me write that in. All right. A as in Ray, Bay, K, Lay, and so forth. All right. So when you see this is AY. All right. So I just want to show that this is just a print I was able to get online. But I want to show, and you can review this. If you have a question, I already stated my number, 908-587-4841. Now, when most people, believe it or not, when they speak in Hebrew fast, they say this as the same. Many people say Yisrael. Yisrael is really ending in this Yisrael. You understand, regardless of that. But when you speak in Hebrew fast, most do not distinguish between the zere, the a, and the segol, the e. All right. So I just want to point that out for reason and purposes. All right. You have pronunciation in Hebrew, and then you have speaking Hebrew. All right. So let's understand that for edification purposes. Like these over here, this goes underneath the vowel, pardon me, underneath the letter as well. All right. What we're, this also, both of the parts that circled red, making the AY sound with or without the yod there. All right. So I just want to point that out. Next we see here is called what they refer to as the kirik, making the E sound. Also going underneath the letter, whatever letter it is. Whatever letter it is underneath. Whatever letter it is underneath. All right. The kirik making the E sound, as in the word Yaldi, the E sound under the dalet. Yaldi meaning my child. Kalbi meaning my dog. Kipati meaning my hat. All right. With the yod, without the yod. Both making the E sound. Both going, in that particular case, one dot there under the letter. All right. We're not going over all the vowels today because there's going to be a part 2. This is going to be meticulous as far as these classes are concerned because we're redoing them, but not to take in the place of what we did from last year. All right. Next we see right here is what is referred to as a aspect of the O sound or the kolam. All right. O. You see it in the word shalom. Now remember earlier, this letter here being the letter wow, this here making, in this particular case, not its own particular sound. You find some brothers, when they say shalom, they will say it and spell it with the English with the letter W in it, shalom, with a W sound. That's not incorrect. You understand? But I just want to point that out when you see SHALOM, and sometimes some brothers say SHALOWM, is not incorrect either way. All right. So this making both here, I'm gonna deal with this one in a second. Both here making the O sound. This one has the vowel going over the letter. This one right here had the vowel going over the letter. All right. So we want that to be noted for reference purposes. Now, what we're looking at right here, I'm going to highlight this particular one in the yellow so it can be seen, hopefully, and then explained upon such. All right. Looks clear on this end. This little T-looking thing here, as this one right here is referred to as the Qamats. They say that this is a kwamatz, kwatan. So if this makes the ah sound, this too will also make the ah sound, just shorter aspect. All right. So it makes ah. And sometimes the O sound, as we see here, does make an ah sound, as in the word job. All right. So just want to point that out as to why you would see that on the same particular aspect. All right. So next we got this one right here. This is the oo sound, double O or U. All right. This is referred to by many as a shuruk. All right. This is referred to by many as a quaboots. All right. Making the oo sound. So we just want to point that out for reason and purposes. All right. The shuruk, the quaboots, the oo sound. This going next to the letter. This going under the letter. Next to, underneath. All right. So we just want to point that out for reason and purposes. So whatever sound that the letter makes is the sound starts with is the sound it makes. So if you have this right here being the letter Aleph, right? You have a kwamatz making the ah sound. So that's ah. All right. This is the letter here, bet, making the B sound. All right. This is the kirik, the E sound we went over. All right. So that's AB so far. All right. We have the Aleph with the ah, bet with the kirik or the E, AB. This is the letter hey with a kwamatz, ha. This is the ah sound. This is the ah sound as well. This is the letter hey. So hey, making the H sound with an ah together is ha. B, or pardon me, bet, making a B sound where E is B. All right? Abiha. The word Abiha means her father. Ab is father. Abi means my father or father of. Abiha means her father. So we just want to point that out for edification purposes. Pardon that there was no board. This is the first lesson in review. There will be a part 2 to this. And we're going to go over the rest of the vowels. We're going to review first, then go over the rest of the vowels and make the aspect close from that point. I can be reached, brothers and sisters, at my number at 908-587-4841. 908-587-4841. For those who are interested, you can purchase this on Amazon. Egypt Talking Writing, a book I wrote, which is online for those who are interested. Or this book right here, Deuteronomy 28:15-68, the condition of the blacks. All right. So we just want that to be pointed out for reason and purposes. Both of those books are available online. Or for those who do PayPal, until October 13th, I have them on sale. Instead of $20 online, you can get them on sale at $10 through PayPal. For those interested, you can just text me at 908-587-4841, and we can go on from that particular point. With that, I say Torah for the time. Most I bless. Class dismissed.